Welcome back to another episode of Fallen Badge. Today's episode, we're going to cover the murder of Detective Lavern Brann, Battle Creek, Michigan Police Department. Battle Creek, Michigan is about an hour and a half west of Detroit, down Interstate 94, and it's about 30 minutes east of Kalamazoo, Michigan. Now, Detective Brann, he'd been with the Battle Creek Police Department for 20 years. He was 44 years old, had a wife and 2 kids. April 26, 2005. Eunice Sharp is a 66-year-old cab driver there in Battle Creek. Company gets a call from a payphone there near the intersection of Territorial and Capitol. It's about 11 p.m. Now, he notified the cab company that he'd made the pickup, and he let them know that he was heading to Mary Street, just off of Main Street. And then the cab company never heard another word out of him. Now, after about 2 hours, well, now it's 1 a.m. on the 27th, the supervisor of the cab company and some of the drivers have been out looking for him, and they can't find him. So the police are notified. So the police are out looking for Mr. Sharp. Now, next morning, about 8 o'clock or so, police find the cab parked in the circular drive there just south of the Riverside Elementary. When they're looking at the car, it's locked up, and they notice blood along the rear bumper and the trunk lid. So they call the cab company, and they bring out a set of keys. They open it up, and Mr. Sharp's in there, and he's dead. He's been stabbed multiple times. The police bring in their tracking dog, and they try to see if they can pick up a track on the suspect, but it's been too long. They don't get anything. So now they got a killing on their hands. May 7th, 2005. Burger King, located at 673 Capitol Avenue, is robbed. Now, this Burger King is 1/10 of a mile away from where the cab driver picked up a fare the night he was murdered. Now, there were 3 employees inside the business, and he either robbed or attempted to rob all 3 of them, as well as the business. The robbery occurred just 11 days after the cab driver was murdered. It's May 9th, 2005. Detective Brann and his partner driving over to 140 Brewer Drive, a Forest Hills Apartments. Now, the story I believe is correct is they're going over there to interview the mother of a suspect they've developed. There's another story I saw, another source that said they were going over there to serve a warrant, an arrest warrant on the suspect. Now, I don't think that's necessarily true, because if they had an arrest warrant or were attempting to do an attempt pickup on a homicide suspect, I think they would have taken more people than the two of them. At least I certainly hope that would be their mindset. So I'm going on the assumption that they went over there to interview the mother, which would make sense. So they get to the apartment. Now the front door to go into the apartment faces back north. And it looks like from the layout that once you go in that door looks like there's a common hallway, so there may be two apartments that share that hallway and that front door. Now the two investigators were separated. One source indicates that while Detective Brann stepped inside the apartment building, was going to the front door, his partner was standing on the outside watching the balconies. So if they weren't over there to do an attempt pickup, they may have had a suspicion that the homicide suspect might be in the apartment. In any event, Detective Brann is in the hallway approaching the apartment door. The suspect opens the door and steps out. He's got a 12-gauge shotgun. And he opens up on Detective Brann. He fired 2 or 3 rounds. Detective Brann went down. Now his partner hears the shots and comes running through the front door. And according to a witness, when he heard the shots, he looked out his door, opened the door, and stepped out. And a plainclothes police officer with his pistol out told him to get back in his apartment, close the door, and lock it. Now that would have to be Detective Brann's partner. The partner gets shot as well. Now the other story is that the two detectives were walking down the hallway together and they were shot at the same time. I would tend to believe the first story, that they were separated. Now the suspect, he pulls the pistol and holster off the belt of Detective Brann and he takes off. Now he throws the shotgun down and the holster for the pistol, but he holds on to the pistol. Now the partner gets help over there. They put out a broadcast and they transport Detective Brann to the hospital where he's pronounced dead. Now the suspect, and I probably wasn't very specific with this, but after he got pistol from Detective Brann, he made his escape by jumping off a second-story balcony, then took off running. Well, now he runs back northbound, and he gets up to Capitol and Columbia. Capitol seems to be his street of comfort. Well, he gets down there near that intersection, and he pulls the pistol on a fella sitting in a truck. So he carjacks him, takes the truck. Now from there, I don't know his exact course, but I do know that He then heads, at some point, he goes back southbound. And he ends up over on the East Minges Road. Well, he hits that Minges Circle because he's seen a car he wants. It's a black Ford Thunderbird. So he pulls up, and as the couple are getting out of the Thunderbird, he puts the gun on them, takes the car, and he heads east. He's heading to the big city of Detroit. And I'm pretty sure he went down I-94. By this time, broadcast for the truck had went out. Then the broadcast changed from the truck to the car. So his attempt to change vehicles, it didn't do him a whole lot of good. Now the tag number on that Thunderbird, it was a 2003 Ford Thunderbird, was Flynn Fun specialized tag, which makes it pretty easy to spot. Now they put it out all over the place. The local radio stations must have put it out as well, because a motorist in Dearborn, Michigan, right there in Detroit, he sees the car with that specialized tag on it. He calls the police, and the Dearborn officer actually gets the car stopped, or attempts to stop it. The suspect, he just keeps on. So he drives into Detroit. Detroit gets to chasing him. He ends up cracking up in the Thunderbird. He hit a fence. So he ran from that car, and he carjacked another car. So now he's got carjacking number 3. And he's heading back westbound now, back into Dearborn. Well, by then the police have got about tired of playing this game with him. So they do a pit maneuver on him, spin him off the roadway. They take him into custody. And they recovered Detective Brann's pistol. Now the defendant, Janelle Postley Jr., who doesn't need to be breathing, was found guilty by a jury. 27 various counts, including the murder of Detective Brann. The judge gave him life without the possibility of parole. Now, they put on his trial in May of 2007 for the murder of the cab driver. He got a second life sentence without the possibility of parole. Now, in the cab driver case, he pleaded no contest. But now a no contest plea in Michigan, it's not considered an admission of guilt. But when it comes to sentencing, it's treated the same way as an admission of guilt. I kind of like that. So, first degree murder for the cab driver. Second, life sentence, no parole. Detective Lavern Stephen Brann. End of watch, May 9th, 2005.